Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2543, Dividing the Territory 1. The Celestial's void has no physical form. It is merely a transparent vortex of air, and his voice is formed by the vibration of the air. It can also leave the Earth's surface and travel to the universe. The vastness and immensity are more suitable for small groups. A commotion broke out among the people present. Morgan lowered his voice and exchanged a glance with King Arthur, while Saladin and Merlin looked on with alarm. Zhang Yi, however, rested his chin on his wrist and gently tapped Zhou Mian, his tone flat. Without Kagagos will to protect the universe, radiation, dark storms, and chaotic calamities will arrive faster than your hostility. Even the Lunarians don't stray far from Earth. Sending us into space is not a migration, but a final farewell. In fact, the entire Australian continent is now larger than the entire Asian continent combined, so accommodating all 6 generations of humanity is definitely not a problem. Moreover, geographically speaking, this place is quite good, with abundant aquatic plants and ample iron ore resources. However, Zhang Yi knew that things were not that simple. If you retreat one step, you'll retreat every step of the way. Once you've retreated even a little, the other party will definitely take advantage of you. Moreover, how could he possibly bear to leave the kingdom of Huashu? The Dragon Clan is now his father, so he is to cling to them tightly. Zhang Yi paused slightly, then looked at Gu Shan and Gu Chaowen. Let me make this clear from the start. My Huashu kingdom is no weaker than you gentlemen and must not yield. This territory of my Chaos Kingdom will not retreat even a single step. He didn't really care about the situation in countries like Colombia. But at this point, their 6 generations were a single entity. One suffers, all suffer. One prospers, all prosper. Only by safeguarding the interests of the whole can one safeguard the interests of the individual. After all, he is the biggest beneficiary. Gu Shan sneered. A mere knight-level expert dares to speak up for the entire clan? Do you think you can stand against 10,000 clans by yourself? I admit you have some strength, but you're the only knight among 6 generations. Can you withstand our myriad races? He stretched out his hand to show that there were dozens of knights on the huge stone table. The Celestials are enormous, soaring high in the sky, communicating with others by vibrating the air, and their forms resemble towering buildings. Small creatures, like the Construct race, are only 1 meter tall, yet they are hidden within their red and silver armor shells. Every ethnic group that has survived from ancient times to the present day is incredibly powerful. They were all beings who dominated an era on Earth over the past 4.6 billion years. From the Wolf Clan's seats, an even more imposing werewolf stepped forward, his back covered in gray fur and his fangs menacing. His voice was icy. The Fong Wolf Clan agrees with Gu Shan's statement. We are already being kind by leaving a corner for 6 generations. Don't trample on our dignity. It's impossible for us to occupy the vast majority of the prime land. Guchuan's single eye gently closed and then opened again. We are not warlike, but simply follow the laws of generation. It is natural for the weak to be eliminated. Your victory just now is not enough to shake our consensus. The Celestials drifted through the air, their vortex rising slightly, with tiny sparks of electricity emanating from its edges. The wind won't change direction for a seabird. What you want is dignity, not heroic tales of blind sacrifice. The 3 snake-faced members of the 3-headed tribe looked at each other and ultimately remained silent. The leader of the Thousand Hands clan joined his 6 hands together and whispered reassuringly, avoid war if possible. Achieve a result that everyone can accept through peaceful means. A cold light flashed through the optical cavity of the construct, as if recording or calculating. Among all races, those who are friendly, those who are malicious, those who are observing, and those who are indifferent all have their stances written on their faces. Even beings like the Three-Headed Clan, the Thousand-Handed Clan, and the Construct Clan are not entirely on the side of the sixth generation. They are only cooperating. If the cooperation loses its value after 6 generations, they will turn against each other. Moreover, it's completely unrealistic for 6 generations to refuse to cede any territory these days. Zhang Yi tapped the table, realizing this as well. So he said calmly, "Earth is very large. More than 90% of our generation has perished, and the current population is only 5 or 600 million. Kroba interrupted Zhang Yi directly, saying, "Only 5 or 600 million. Do you know that our clans, which hide in the shadows, have a population of at most tens of millions? They are constantly constrained by the will of the Creator, and even reproduction is difficult. When our tribe was wiped out, the majority of the survivors numbered only a few 100,000, while the minority had only a few hundred remaining. Ancient civilizations had low birth rates. This is the Creator's deliberate control. To put it simply, when a new version of a game is released, the old system, even if not deleted, will not be updated. Therefore, for ancient civilizations, the desire to reproduce was equivalent to obtaining fragments of ether, which would be much more difficult. This is why the difference in strength between ancient civilizations and 6 generations was not so exaggerated. Strictly speaking, the arrival of the end of the 6th generation was the beginning of the emergence of a large number of powerful individuals. Zhang Yi frowned and said calmly, "I have no objection to other places, but Huashu Kingdom cannot be touched." Upon hearing this, many people gave him strange looks. Kroba sneered, "Why should I? What makes you special? That continent is rich in resources and has an excellent geographical location. Do you think you can monopolize it? Be careful not to burst your belly." Gushan also said, "People should know their own limitations. Greed is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant." Zhang Yi asked the AI system curiously, "Why do these ancient civilizations speak in such an archaic style?" The intelligent system said, "Don't you understand the translationese?" Zhang Yi, "Okay." After some discussion, Zhang Yi finally offered his bottom line. Huashu Kingdom could cede half of its territory to the alien race. Saying it's giving up is like cutting a piece off the edge of a loaf of bread. He wanted to retain the entire Jiangnan region, as well as the locations of the other 6 regions near the Jiangnan region. The remaining area is twice the size of the original Huashu Kingdom. In reality, they preserved the best parts of the central plains of Huashu Kingdom. But after hearing his words, many of the surrounding alien races sneered. "What do you think we're occupying this land for? When we become angels and nurture the 7th generation, the most important thing is the geographical environment. Rivers and plains are the most contested areas. Your region was once conquered by a powerful race, which led to the formation of your Huashu Kingdom. Do you really think it's a place that can be obtained easily?" Kroba's wolf mouth emitted a mocking sound. Zhang Yi's gaze immediately turned cold. "So, you're going to take my home?" He had spent half his life in Tianhai City, where he had built his foundation and where everything he knew was familiar. Having witnessed firsthand the repeated destruction and reconstruction of Tianhai City, he naturally refused to leave. Chapter 2544, Dividing the Territory 2. Gushan of the Ironclad clan crossed his strong arms and said to Zhang Yi, "Such a prime location is naturally occupied by powerful races. The overall strength of your 6 generations is too weak, and we cannot judge based on your individual strength. How many powerful beings from ancient races can you possibly contend with all by yourself?" Zhang Yi's face immediately darkened. However, Morgan whispered to Zhang Yi, "Actually, this suggestion is worth considering. After all, the Australian continent isn't such a bad place." Zhang Yi glanced at Morgan. "If you were asked to cede Colombian territory, would you agree?" Morgan said, "Currently, Colombia has ceded large areas of land to the Constructs and the Thousand Hands. As a country of immigrants, we don't have much of an attachment to our homeland. It's just that it's quite troublesome to relocate a large amount of industrial equipment." Zhang Yi said coldly, "That's your business, but asking me to move is absolutely impossible." Gushin, Kroba, and the others watched Zhang Yi with a relaxed air. The Fong Wolf clan had just lost face because of Zhang Yi, and Kroba naturally wanted to get his revenge. Therefore, he refused to give an inch. Zhang Yi nodded. Since we've come this far, I won't beat around the bush. In the end, you still think that my Huashu kingdom is too weak and not qualified to occupy the Central Plains, right? Of course, Kroba said calmly. 6 generations have been weak. Even with an accident like you, it cannot change the fact that the whole family is weak. Gu Shan said, we are doing this for your own good. That land has an excellent geographical location, but you can't take advantage of it. The Titans Guchuan and the Celestials Kong also voiced their support. The 4 tribes' territories were closest to the Huashu kingdom, so they coveted this land. After the heavens and earth unfolded, the vast land of Huashu kingdom revealed its true appearance, a land of immense size and abundant resources. It was enough for the 4 races to divide, so they were very enthusiastic. Zhang Yi chuckled coldly, then stood up from his chair, his gaze sweeping over the surroundings. He raised his hand and pointed in 4 directions. Ultimately, it all comes down to ability. Wouldn't it have been simpler to say that earlier? Gushin of the Ironclad clan, Kroba of the Fong Wolf clan, Guchuan of the Titan clan, and Kong of the Sky clan. I will take on all 4 of you by myself. If I lose, your conditions will be followed. The Huashu clan will cede their land and immigrate to Australia. But if I win, you will no longer be allowed to covet my Huashu kingdom's territory. The human group fell silent. Morgan almost blurted out, chaos. That's too risky. His gaze towards Zhang Yi was extremely intense, almost as if he were looking at a madman. If he hadn't witnessed Zhang Yi's strength before, he would have really had the urge to curse him out. 1 against 4? 1 person taking on 4 night-level powerhouses? What else could he be but a madman? King Arthur gripped the hilt of his sword and hurriedly advised, there's no need to confront them head-on again immediately. Negotiation is a long-term process. He felt that Zhang Yi had been provoked by the other party, so he repeatedly comforted her and tried to calm her down. Cardinal Oleb's cross shimmered slightly in the light. He didn't try to persuade Zhang Yi, but instead looked Zhang Yi up and down. Because Oleb had suffered losses at Zhang Yi's hands before, he didn't think that Oleb was a gambler who was so easily provoked that he would make wrong decisions. Blatt of the pupil organization lowered the brim of his hat, a meaningful smile appearing on his face. He thought to himself, as expected of the false knight that our pupil organization has its eye on, he always does things in unexpected ways. Ha 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 ha. As soon as Zhang Yi finished speaking, the alien races present burst into laughter. It was as if I had heard the biggest joke in the world. Kroba glanced at Sun Yan, who was cowering obediently in the back after being defeated by Zhang Yi, and said disdainfully to Zhang Yi, you think you'll be invincible after defeating Sun Yan, don't you? I can tell you that Sun Yan's strength ranks only 3rd in my Garo clan. I, Kroba, am the clan leader of the Garo clan. I've seen your abilities. They are indeed interesting, the combination of time and space. But I've also seen through your abilities. Even in a one-on-one fight, you are no match for me. He scoffed. What nonsense about 1 against 4. It's utterly absurd and arrogant. Gu Shan scoffed. What do you take us for? Your stepping stones, your clowns? Ridiculous. Don't think you're so great just because you're some so-called genius. Every one of us here is a genius. 1 in a billion. Zhang Yi gazed at them calmly and slowly said, isn't this the only way to solve the problem? I think that negotiating with words won't yield any results. So, it's better to fight. He did want others to help him, but there were indeed no more night-level experts among the human race below him. Morana, King Arthur, and others are still a notch below in strength. But in battles between top-tier experts, even the slightest difference can create a huge gap. Seeing that Zhang Yi didn't seem to be joking, Kroba exchanged glances with the representatives of the other races. Apart from their 4 races, other races seemed indifferent to this. Earth is vast, and they all have their own desired goals. For example, the World Tree Clan firmly occupies the tropical rainforest, and no one can compete with them. The red scorpion tribe lives in the desert and is completely at peace with humans. Are you really looking to die? Kroba said to Zhang Yi in a mocking tone. We're people of principle too, and we won't bully you by 4 against 1. But if you're asking for trouble, then you can't blame anyone else. Zhang Yi glanced at him indifferently. If you want fairness, then try it with me first. Morgan quickly added, That's right, 4 against 1 is too unfair. I think one-on-one duels are the best. As one of humanity's top combatants, Morgan was worried that something might happen to Zhang Yi. Gu Shan scoffed. A childish trick. 4 against 1 is unfair? For all races, there is no such thing as fairness. Might makes right. Guchuan paused for a moment, then said seriously, I don't recommend all 4 of you going up together. If you want to fight 4 against 1, first confirm the rules and make a vow in the presence of all races, which everyone must abide by. The empty column of air trembled slightly, since it was Chaos who proposed the suggestion, 1 against 4. My celestial clan has no objection. Let us proceed, as he said, and let the outcome determine the ownership of the Huashu Kingdom's land. Kroba lowered his stance, a cold glint in his fangs. I can't wait any longer. Forget rules. The teeth of my Fangwolf clan know the oldest rules. Meanwhile, on the human side, everyone was desperately trying to dissuade Zhang Yi from acting impulsively. Here ends today's chapter. I hope you liked it. Kindly do also subscribe to my gaming channel. I have to Fina a way to survive. Thanks.
See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.